What's up, everybody? Time for another video about animation. Now, this is a video idea that I initially wanted to do in the aftermath of the 2019 Academy Awards. Unfortunately, due to the victory of Spiderverse at the Oscars, I decided to cancel it. However, there's a cartoon article that actually convinced me to do this video idea. Now, thing is, this cartoon is actually dated 6/02/2009. It's entitled John Favreau made an animated Lion King, but he still doesn't want you to call it an animated film. See, and you're gonna see why decided to do this video on this matter. So let me get started. So give me a second. I'm reading through now. John Favreau, the director of Disney's 100% fully animated remake of The Lion King, is claiming in a new interview that he doesn't think the film should be considered anime. If you're confused, don't worry. That's part of Disney's marketing strategy. Here's a breakdown of what is happening. Here's one. No, Favreau clearly understands that he made an anime film. He just doesn't want people to call it an anime film. In an interview with Slash Film, he spoke about how the film was fully keyframe animated. There's no real animals, and there's no real cameras, and there's not even any performance that's being captured. That's underlying data. That's real. Everything is coming through the cans of artists. But rather than stating the logical conclusion, he had a curveball. To say it's anime, I think, is misleading as far as what the expectations might be. Favreau goes on to say that the viewing experience will be more special if you don't know you're watching an anime film. It also changes the way you sit and watch it. Basically, hopefully, you could just watch it without being introduced. If we put up Rafiki footage and didn't say what it was, some people might know. Some people might know how it was done, but it causes you to be present and mindful and paying attention because you're trying to figure out what you're looking at, and that's a great disposition to be in as an audience member. Favreau adds, I think calling it live action is also not appropriate either. In fact, he recently told an interview that the film only has one live action shot, which he snuck in as a joke, to see whether the audience could tell the difference between the live action shot and everything else that was anime. What about all the actors in the film? The actors in the film are only voice actors. Functionally, Donald Glover's performance as Simba is exactly the same thing as Matthew Broderick did on the original Lion King. Initially, there had been some confusion about the role of the actors. Some suggested that they may have done motion capture performances in a fashion of any circus performance. That wouldn't make it any less anime, but it could help Disney make the argument that this was not a typical anime film. However, as Favreau confirmed in most recent Slash interview, there was no performance capture used in the film. It's all keyframe traditionally animated. The visual effects supervisor Rob Legato has spoken out using virtual production. Could not that be considered live action? Virtual production is an innovative filming technique that can be used in the service of either live action film or anime film. You can read our in-depth explanation of the technique here. It is, however, still a technique, akin to stop motion, hand-drawn cinematography, or CG. The final imagery that appears in any film can only be classified as one of those three things: live action, anime, or a hybrid combination of the two. In the case of Lion King, the imagery is 100% animated, achieved through a combination of virtual production and CG animation techniques. Hold on a second. Why would Disney run a coordinated campaign to convince people that The Lion King is an anime? There had clearly been a concerted effort from the Disney company, from the president of Walt Disney Studios Motion Picture Production to the visual effects supervisor, to not call Lion King an anime film. Disney, however, has also stopped calling it live action, as Disney CEO Bob Iger had done earlier, since it's clearly not. Everything about the film's publicity, including prominent use of the actors' names in film posters, is intended to obfuscate the film's actual production image. The exact reason that Disney has turned down promotion of the film in the force is not entirely clear. That's an internally decision-making process to which no one is privy. Here is our best guess. The Disney studio has been on a years-long campaign to recreate its anime films as live-action production. Yeah. All of its all its other live action versions have had live action performances in them, even if they incorporate playing animation too. Clearly, being honest about The Lion King would complicate the marketing of the film, and would put the studio in a defensive position of explaining why they made an anime remake of an already animated film. Further, it's no secret that commercial animation in the United States carries a negative association with children's content, which is ironically as an association that has formed due to Disney's own outsized influence on the industry. An animated film that breaks the mold and has a more mature sensibility is a tougher sell to the general public than simply relabeling something as live action film and avoiding the stigma of being labeled a children's film. Sorry. If Lion King were accurately labeled as an anime film, it will also create a headache for the company during the award season. That means Lion King would compete for any year awards with other anime films. In a year when Disney has no original films, only sequels like Frozen 2 and Toy Story 4. A technically innovative anime film like Lion could emerge as a critical pick for the best anime year, thus hurting the studio's traditional divisions that create animation. A recent report on Anywhere suggests that Disney has already planned ahead and won't run The Lion King for Best Animated Film, instead pushing it for a Visual Effects Academy Award, thus leaving a clear path for Frozen 2 and Toy Story 4 to make independent Oscar runs. Why is it such a big deal to accurately label Lion King? Why is it such a big deal to accurately label The Lion King as an animated film? First things first, animators deserve credit for the work. A campaign to diminish the efforts of animators on a full animated film further reduces the visibility of thousands of animators and visual effects artists who work to make this film. CG animators are already underpaid and overworked. Now, Disney is pretending that they don't even exist, a clearly undefensible position. Secondly, The Lion King is poised to be the most innovative and technically progressive animated film released in 2019. It points to a direction that animated film has been heading for years, photorealism, and it pushes the use of virtual production techniques as far as any animated film has today. Whether or not you're on board for photorealistic animation, it's already here and used extensively in live action filmmaking. Now we're seeing convincing photorealistic animation in an entirely animated environment. This is a big technical leap forward for the art of animation. Innovating in our art form deserves to be celebrated, not belittled and hidden from the public. As you can see here, folks, despite all the progress, despite all the effort they put in this movie, it's still not being, it's still not, it's still, there's still not really, there's still really is not. You see, there's a sense of being belittled. And all I'll say is I have two scriptures I'm going to read for you. First is Ecclesiastes 1:14 and 2:17. Hold on a second, let me get it. Verse 1 to 1, Ecclesiastes 1:14. I saw all the works that were done under the sun, and look, everything was futile, a chasing after wind. And now for verse 2 verse 17. Hold on a second. 2 verse 17. So I came to hate life, because everything being done under the sun seemed distressing to me, for everything was futile, a chasing after the wind. So see, with this failure, with this upcoming movie not getting without a push to get for the best anime feature category, you could say it's truly chasing after the win. Thing is, I also have another article I'm gonna read. Let me give you time to bring it up. Alright, here's the second article from cartoonbrew. This one is actually written back in the summer 2013. It's a 08/20/2013. It's how LA Times virus stupidly suggests that Hollywood is making too many anime films. I'll read this one too. Well, it's that time of year again. A couple of anime films performed below average at the box office, and the mainstream media began asking, "Are Hollywood studios cranking out too many anime films?" The article is filled with alarming descriptions of the film and animation industry, like a flood computer animated movies, because 5 films apparently constitute a flood. The eye-rolling worthy quotes like this one from DreamWorks CEO Jeffrey Katzenberg. We've never experienced this level of animation in a period of time. In this jump from Illumination chief, Justin Melandri. As more films are planned, it's inevitable that they are being more cannibalization of each other. Cannibalization? Let's get good here. There are only 11 major releases planned, major animated releases planned for this year. Now, that's compared to hundreds of live-action releases. How is that the feature film? How is that the feature film market can store hundreds of live actions but less than a dozen anime films? The problem isn't that there are too many anime films. The problem is that every single anime film release is targeted at the same family demographic. Yes, there were 5 anime releases this summer in a span of a couple of months. That's hardly newsworthy considering that were dozens of live-action releases in that same period. The issue is that all 5 of those films were targeted to the exact same audience. I sorted through a couple of them, and if you have an intellectual capacity beyond a 7 years old, chances are you're going to want to watch something more stimulating. A far more illuminating article would have been to ask why film executives ghettoize the animation art form and refuse to cater to a broad range of audiences, as animations in Europe and Asia routinely do. Hayao Miyazaki's controversial new animated film, The Wind Rises, is geared toward adult audiences and has not only been the number one film in Japan for the past month, but will likely become Japanese number one film at the box office for all 2013. The writer of the LA Times article, Richard Burr, who should know better considering that he covers the film industry for a living, erroneously refers to animation as genre in its piece on multiple occasions. But as we discussed many times, animation is not a genre. It may be perceived as a genre by Hollywood executives, but animation is as much a genre as live action is. And if you want to lump all animations as a genre, the argument is still flimsy and incorrect. How is there a glut when 2 of the top 4 films at the American box office are all animated this year? On top of that, Despicable 2 is the single most profitable film in the history of Universal. The financials alone would suggest that the success rate in animation is far higher than live action hit rate. Prior to then, the writers of LA Times should explore whether there is a glut of live action films in Hollywood. White Red was written back in 2013, but really, you can see from this article, from the article of Dosen't, you can see that people like Bradbury are wrong. The article I read and the recent article back in 2003 clearly shows that, really, when it comes down to it, animation is a genre in film by nature, and nothing can change that. It's no surprise that people like the LA Times writer, and even the American Film Institute classify it as a genre of film. Well, that's all for now. Bye bye.